Let me ask, you guys know about the Colorado situation, right?
Yes.
Where, for those who don't know, a gunman went into a movie theater uh, last Tuesday, I guess.
Thursday.
Last Thursday? Okay, and they were showing this new movie. What's the name of the movie?
Rise of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
Rise of the Dark Knight, whatever. It was a midnight showing, so this guy went in there and just started shooting up people. He broke into, according to the story, he broke into the emergency door. He was all geared up, dressed in black, and just really, he killed, I think about 12 people were killed and 50 to 60 wounded. 70 people wounded? Yeah, they keep going up. And it was very, very, it's an eye-opening situation for me. But I wanted to, before I give what I think about the situation, I wanted to get some feedback from you guys and ladies here, because I know you guys are Christians and you see what's going on. So I want to get some feedback from you. What did you think about that situation when you heard it? How about you, Richard? What did you think of it?
The first thing I thought about was where does this guy come from?
Let's do
Where
this.
did he-
Robert, you hold the
where
mic
did
so
he
you can
come-
hold
you
it
know-
closer to, hold on for a minute, Richard. Hold the mic, Robert, so you can
Here.
hold it close enough. Because when people are speaking, they forget to hold it. Take the mic. He gave me the thumbs up and he's not taking the mic. Okay.
Yeah, the first thing I thought about, after I heard everything about him, about what family did he come from? What was going on in that home? Why was he a loner? All those kind of things. That's the first thing I looked at. And if he worked alone and doing such a heinous crime, and what was he thinking? What was he trying to do? What was he accomplishing?
Yeah.
And I just left it right there because
okay.
it speaks for itself.
And you wonder, why was he a loner?
Yes.
A person who spent a lot of time by himself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I looked at his family. First thing I want to know is if he was a loner, what happened in his home?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the first thing. And then what group did he get with, or did he think on these things by himself? He went to school to be a doctor or whatever the case may be. He couldn't make it.
Yeah, he was working on his PhD.
Yeah, but evidently he flunked out of that. He dropped from that. So that tells me he had another problem going on.
Oh, okay.
All
right. Yes, sir.
I heard a lot of commentary on this, and the one that I most agree with is the simplest one regarding, an inanimate object, being the gun, cannot fire and kill someone by itself. And so why does everybody want to automatically? Well, Barack Obama and the other Democrats are not jumping to policy and regulation because they're going to lose the election. That's why they're not, as far as I understand. And I'm only reiterating all the commentary I heard. And so the major point, the major point of that is, why don't they talking about values, re-embracing values that would change behavior rather than trying to regulate guns would just make society more dangerous, to have more evil people with guns rather than good people. And that's basically my synopsis of all the commentary I've heard.
All right. Let's go to the young lady over in the corner. What was your first impression when you heard about it?
I didn't hear. When I first heard about it, I didn't know much about it. I just heard that he shot up a lot. Somebody shot up a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
That's all I knew about it. And it's just like it's happening a lot now.
Right. Okay. Let's go here. Did you hear about it? Okay. Did you hear about it the morning that it happened?
I don't recall.
Well, it happened at midnight, so
Yeah,
I heard it the following morning.
I heard it in the
What was your
morning.
first impression when you heard it?
My first impression was that, wow, the devil is really busy,
Oh, okay.
just infecting more people.
Right on. And last question, what was your impression when you heard it?
When I heard it, I thought to myself, why am I not surprised about this? There's no question that this this murder was a mental case, but I don't think we even got this guy even this far. if he didn't have the victims to do it, and these victims were willing to go sit to a midnight to a very midnight to a show to a movie they thought that was more important than probably their lives. I may be wrong about this.
So you thought it was the people's fault who went to the movie?
Of course not. It was the people's lack of awareness that got them that got them in this trap. They didn't realize that they didn't even.
But when you go to a movie, you're not sitting there thinking, "Oh, some nutcase is going to break in here and shoot me up."
Yes, any time I wouldn't think about it, except at midnight. This is something.
Oh.
Yes, especially when I heard that one of the victims was a 6-year-old girl. What was they doing taking her out on the midnight showing of a movie?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about that too. Okay. You made a point that I wanted to touch on, and I forgot what it was because I asked about the mic.
Gun control?
Oh yeah, gun control. I was at the gym the day after that, and I'm listening to this guy. We were all like together working out there, and some guy was like blaming it on the gun. He was like, "Oh, we need gun control. If we had gun control, this would not happen." I'm like, the gun. He wasn't even really talking to me. He was talking to other guys, but I could hear. I said, "Man, you sound so silly. The gun didn't do it." "Yes, it did. It was the gun's fault." I said, "But if a gun is laying on the table and you never touch the gun is not going to move." I said, "This is crazy, man. It's not the gun's fault." He's like, "Yes, it is. The same way if you poison yourself, it's the poison's fault." I'm like, "So if you don't take the poison, will the poison kill you?" He's like, "No, but it's still the poison's fault." But he was like convinced that it's the gun's fault. And that's so dumb to me. I don't know how people can believe that kind of way. If you don't touch the gun, if you're shot by a gun, you're going to say, "John Doe shot me with a gun," right? The gun is not going to do it. But they really think it's the gun's fault. And if you take away all the guns, then somehow or another, I'm like, if they take the guns away, they're going to beat you with a stick. Are you going to blame the stick? But he was like really, really serious about it. I mean, literally serious about it. I said, "Man, you're just as dumb as they come." And he was a big guy, too. I was a little scared. Let me take another comment. Then I want to lay out something that I see about this thing. Yes?
To me, when I see this, that is gun control. That's what they want from gun control. They want this type of thing to happen. It doesn't make any sense. They're never going to take away all the guns. The wrong people are always going to have the guns.
I can't believe you have to be a sinful person to think that it's the gun. The gun is not, you got to load the gun. You got to pick the gun up. You got to put your hand on that little trigger thing and move it. The gun's not going to do anything. Can you be that dumb? Yes, sir.
One thing I notice is not those kind of things, but the people have a more fervent belief in it. They really think that if they take the guns away, they really think that the other people in the party are the enemies, and they really have a strong belief. It's almost like they believe in it 100%. In the old days, they allowed you to have an opinion, but nowadays you can't have an opinion. If it's different than what they believe, then you're the enemy. And to me, that's another part, like there's more evil in the world because your fellow Americans, they really believe what they believe in more than ever.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What I thought was interesting is that he was a PhD student, so even if you had gun control, he would have been eligible to go and get a gun at the local store. You know, even with gun control, they just do a background check and they issue you a gun. But then the second point, I thought it was really interesting that immediately, maybe by Friday afternoon, his parents made a statement. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
And I'm paraphrasing, but they were not surprised.
Oh, yeah, I did hear the mother say, yeah,
And
you got the right one. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I'm just, again, just values, because
Yeah.
what parent, you as a parent, I think you want to give your kids a benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
at least for until you see some type of evidence or get a chance to talk to them. But the other thing I noticed too is that in terms of values is that, I think that nowadays we hear more people are depressed, people have issues, and it just seems like in the old days they would just kill themselves, and now it's like they have to go and kill 20 other people.
I know, huh? My very first thought when I heard it, I wonder what Wayne think about this. No, I'm kidding. What do you think about it, Wayne? Your very first thought.
My very first thought was with the families of the people that were injured, people who were hurt, and how that just really destroyed a lot of lives for nothing,
Yeah. Amazing. When I realized from this whole deal that this is definitely a battle between good and evil, and I wasn't really surprised to hear about this. You want to comment on it? Okay, real fast.
Yeah, you said that the gun doesn't commit the crime.
Right.
Would you...
If the gun commit the crime, then put the gun in jail and let the person go. Isn't that a good idea? I didn't do it, the gun did it.
Would you...
That makes sense. I'm going to fight for a law, arrest the gun.
I say one thing though, Jesse. I think that the types of weapons that people are able to buy, they shouldn't be able to buy. I mean, who needs an AK-47 that shoots 100 times? That's somebody that wants to kill a lot of people. You can't go out and hunt pigs with an AK-47. So I mean, I think that everybody should have weapons, but I mean, some of the stuff, man, is just a little much.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear anything about any Koreans using AK-47s on anybody.
Yeah, they did. Go do a rewind. They would stand on top of their buildings, businesses, and everything.
Well, I mean, they could have had shotguns and done the same thing.
No, but you see a bunch of black folk coming.
Oh,
You want to
come
be
on,
in the
Jesse,
fire
come
more
on.
than one
I mean,
time.
You can justify anything you want to, but I know if you got guns and if they had 9 millimeters, they
You
have
see
a
a
weapon.
whole bunch of black people coming. You want to be in the fire one time.
Oh, come on, man.
I know. Let me do this because of time. When I heard it, I was surprised by that incident. And, it is pretty sad to be in a movie theater and someone just comes in and wipe you out like that. But I wasn't surprised because I look at how weak spiritually this country has become and how evil is more promoted now than good. And we've been talking about this for years, and that the women's movement, the nationalization of women, all the people who are fighting for women's lib, they have taken the joke too far. And because of it, we now have, and I wrote out some things here, we now have out-of-wedlock birth. And out-of-wedlock birth, you're like lifted up as good if you have a baby out of wedlock today because of the women's movement. And we, as men and everybody allowing that to happen, it's an honor now to have a baby out of wedlock. In the movie industry and everybody and their mama having children out of wedlock. There's no shame in that anymore. That's another example of the moral values that are gone. Abortion out of control. Everybody and their mama have an abortion. No shame. Where'd you go yesterday? Where's that baby that was in your belly? Child, I went and had an abortion yesterday. Oh, good for you. I don't blame you. You got to go to work. You can't afford to have babies. Liberalism, which is evil, is now controlling the churches. The preachers and the Christians sound just like the non-Christians and the non-preachers. The talk is the same. The action is the same. In the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, if you had a church for the homosexual, it was rebuked. You didn't put them in a choir and say, go sing and act like it's normal. If women were having babies out of wedlock, the man and the woman would be dealt with. They would be encouraged to get married. They would talk about the shame in it, to a point that the people would feel ashamed if they got pregnant. They wouldn't want you to know. until you had to know. But now the churches are sounding just like that. I've been invited to speak at 2 events coming up soon. And in both events, they gave me something not to say. One said, we would like for you to come and speak, but don't use the word nigger. You know how, the way I use that word is when I say, I've been called a nigger. I don't call the people in the audience a nigger. I'm encouraging them to be of courage, let them call you names, and don't be afraid, right? But they say, well, we'd really like for you to come, but don't say nigger. And then I've been invited to another event where I'm speaking at a church. It happened to be a white church, and the preacher said, well, we really want you to come, but we don't want to make the blacks upset. Make sure you don't say things that will make the blacks upset. I'm like, what are you talking about? He told me, I just want you to talk about bond and what you're doing, because we're really trying to get with the blacks in the black churches, and we are making an inroad right now. And just make sure you don't say nothing to offend them. This is a preacher telling me what not to say in a church. No wonder we're having this kind of thing happen in Colorado. Because evil, people who are supposed to represent truth are afraid now. Are afraid. Every man on earth is considered to be an abuser and a child molester. Every man on earth is already guilty of that in their Christian homes and outside of their Christian homes. I have literally counseled with folks who have sent, and I'm writing this down because I can't remember all this stuff, there's so much, who have sent their kids to visit grandmama. You know what grandmama does? Instead of baking an apple pie or giving them some cookie, she's questioning kids about the father. Such little kids. And the parents don't even know that this is going on. And so that's destroying the kids, because little kids don't need to be hearing that kind of stuff. But the Christian grandmamas are doing that. Is it like are you shocked to hear that? Yes. And they are absolutely, in their mind, convinced that every man is guilty, because they're listening to the children of Satan. The churches are supposed to set another example, and Satan folks set another example. And our light supposed to shine. Every man and woman is not guilty until something happens and you see that they're guilty. You don't assume that everybody's guilty, but every man is guilty in the eyes of almost every woman. That's true, huh? Every man is guilty. How did we allow that to happen as children of God? Let me have, Wayne, you said that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I like to kid around with kids. I like kids, but when you see strangers come up and they're kids, you're a little reluctant to say something.
That's right.
Nowadays, because the way people look at you,
Every man is guilty. Even with your own children, you are considered a rapist, a molester, an abuser. So now you can't even have a family, because the children of God are now listening to the children of Satan. I can tell you so many stories about innocent men. I just heard a story recently. A guy, nice guy, working hard. A woman got mad at him on the job and accused him of making sexual remarks to her. And because she said it, he lost his job, lost his everything, just gone. And he got to try to prove himself innocent, and he can't afford to do it. Evil is working in our country in ways that I don't think people understand the depth. And that shooting, it was a bad thing, but that's nothing compared to things to come. Because just think about it in your own private and personal life. You notice when you turn away from what is right, when you make bad decisions, your life starts to get bad. Things start to not to work out for you. And the more you pull away from what is right, the worse things get. Well, it's in a bigger way like that too in the world. When we pull away from truth and from what is right, because you can't help but have evil become stronger and take over. The truth is hated. You tell the truth, you create enemies. You do not create friends. But the okay with that thing, though, if you love what's right, you don't care about losing people who don't love. I don't care if it's family members or friends, your children. You'll let them go because your confidence is in God. You have all that you need, so you don't mind losing that. Judges. We used to have judges in the court that would make right decisions based on the law and morality. No more do we have that. No more. I can't tell you, we've fought against same-sex marriages and all kind of stuff just in this state alone. We go out and vote. We get the voters. We go out and vote. We vote for it, and they overturn it. And we just say, okay, let it be. We put up a fight for a little while, but soon we have some difficult days ahead of us. And then someone mentioned a 6-year-old child at a movie. Why would anybody take a 6-year-old child to a... 6 months or 3 months. That's even worse.
3-month-year-old. They had a 6-year-old and a 3-month-old.
Why would any parent take a child to a midnight movie at that age to see that type of movie anyway? Yeah, but we're losing it. We don't have that solid ground that guides us, the light unto our feet anymore. We're literally going with the world right now. We really are. And if one person stand up and say, no, I'm not going that way with you, he or she become the enemy. And even the Christians will jump on that person that's telling the truth. Have you noticed that? The Christians don't say, well, you know what, at least you may not agree with it, but at least this person is right. Daycare center. There's no way I would allow my child to go to a midnight movie. The movie is not that important. It's going to be there. But the father and the mother, I don't know if they were married, what the situation, but they allowed that to happen. Everybody and their mama send their kids to daycare centers today. No more the mother staying at home, the father's out working, so you can raise your kids with your values and the right way to go. It's okay, it's sophisticated, it's the right thing to do to send your child to a daycare center. Have a baby, out of wedlock, don't worry about it, we have daycare centers. And if you can't afford it, the taxpayers will pay for it. And we, the taxpayers, we pay for it. We don't revolt, we don't do anything but pay for it. Have you noticed that? Complain about our taxes, but we do nothing about it. For the blacks, the basketball courts at night are the parents for the kids. You know, after school, they go play basketball. Have you noticed that? They'll fight for that rather than fighting to bring the family back together. They want midnight basketball courts. I can go on, but I just have a few. There is no fight to put the two parents back together. Boy Scout, I have to give honor to the Boy Scout. They are fighting to keep it as is. And right on to them, they've lost a lot. They've been condemned and name-called and all kind of stuff, but they will not, so far, they have not caved in. And that's the right thing to do. But the Girl Scout, they caved in. Now you could be a transgender, bisexual, prosexual, ain't sexual, whatever sexual, and become a Girl Scout. Ain't that something? This is why these things are happening in our country, because as you mentioned, somebody else mentioned, the values are gone. When you get God out of your life, when you take him out of the public square, they would rather hear about same-sex marriage than to hear about Christ on the cross. You mention Christ, all hell break loose. You mention same-sex marriage, a smile comes on their face. And the Christians just go along with it. I would urge you to get ready because it's going to get worse. This spirit, evil is not a joke. It is destroying everything, the family unit, everything. And the Christians are right on board with it. It's unfortunate, but it is. And that's why evil is so powerful today. Because in reality, evil has no power at all. It deceives you and you act out yourself. It makes you believe a lie. But that's why these things are happening at the theater. There's no other reason for it. This man had more issues. Whatever his parents done to him as a kid need to be dealt with, of course. But it's about values. This guy, if he'd been a moral man, there's no way he would have done this. It would not have happened. Yes, ma'am.
You know what I thought was interesting? If you go back and look at the interviews, the same woman who took the 6-year-old and the 3-month-old, when they asked her what was running through your mind, she said, well, I was just praying to God that my children wouldn't die here today in the movie theater. And a lot of the interviews, when they asked them what was running through your mind, they were saying, oh God, I hope that this is not my time to go. So it just shows the confusion of values and
Yes, ma'am.
the very not strong foundation in our values.
Yes, ma'am. I see it so clearly, folks. And it's weird that I'm not the brightest guy on the street corner, but I can see this, and because I can see it in my own life. I see what my life is now prior to when it changed. You gotta love good or love evil. There is no you driving this boat. If you have no value, look at the families now with children who are adults. They don't get along well. The kids are trifling. The parents are still taking care of the kids. They're having babies out of wedlock. I mean, you got to have those family values. You got to put the family back together and then take them away from the world. That's what it's a spiritual thing. Do you guys see this? Yes. But I want you to be aware of it, because when it happens, I don't want your first thought to be, oh, gun laws, we need this, we need that. You got to see the deeper aspect of what's going on, so that you can see you got to protect yourself and your family, because that's why Satan break up the family first. Get rid of that idea, that image of God. You can do the rest, and it's just awful. In Chicago, the South Side I heard the president do a little thing about what's happening in Arizona. Colorado. How sorry he is about it. I've not heard him do a press conference on what's happening on the south side of Chicago. Something like 800-some people already dead there, and I believe it just from this year. In July alone, I think, I may be wrong in the numbers, but pretty close, because I talked about it on my radio show this week. 87 people have been murdered on the south side of Chicago in 1 month. 18 in 1 month. And July's not over yet. I ever heard him say, you know what, my heart goes out to the people and to the families. I guess black people don't value. They ain't got nothing. They're on welfare. Maybe they don't value as much or something. But it's a spiritual thing, folks. You got to see this. And God, I hear that God's supposed to be sending Jesus at some point, right? Isn't Jesus coming back right at the very last minute? But we don't need to wait until the last minute. He's in us. He's working through us. Have some courage. Tell the truth and let them be mad, so we can destroy the enemy, the lie. I saw so many hands. Let me tell you, Patrick first, I saw him, and then I come around him. Well, am I going wrong with this? Anybody, men or women? We allowed this stuff to start 50 to 60. Well, it's been going on. Even always been working. But it has, I don't know if it's ever had the influence that it has today. And it's because men, the primary reason is that men are just weak and pathetic. They'll sell your soul down the drain for $1. They're afraid to correct their women. I was talking to a doctor yesterday. I was telling him about some stuff that was happening in this world. He was like, I had to let my mama go. He's like, I'm done with my mama. I tried, I can't do it. But you can. You have the power to do it, man. If you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, more than you love anything else, you have the power to guide the women in the right way to go. And they need that. That's what love is. It's not a macho thing. But if you continue to be weak, it's over. Absolutely over. And for the ladies who don't have men, God will answer your prayers too and take away your anger, and you can have the same power. Anyway, you're right. Had those guys in that audience the other night, Colorado, even if you're into the movie and you're not thinking about someone breaking in, once that started, if they had been real men and stayed calm, that would have been a moment where they could have taken that guy down. They could have taken, but from what I've heard, nobody tried to take him down. They took pictures, they ran, they hooped, they hollered, they hid, because the guy at some point had to reload. You know, he had to reload, and that's your moment to get him. But nobody tried that because men are no good. Not all, but most. Well, I can say all men, and I won't get any slack from it. Nobody was ever like, yeah, that's right, all men are like that. But don't let me say all women. But not one man, as far as we know, I haven't heard one report yet, tried to take the guy. And I heard them say, oh, he stopped and reloaded. Isn't that amazing? And that's another thing, they're doing it because the household, the family is broken. Because when you step your foot into a schoolhouse now, the first thing you do is snap a pill down your throat. Yeah, and especially if you act like you have some energy, they pop a pill down your throat the first day of school. Yeah. But if they had fathers and mothers together, this would not be happening. And so if you were growing up your whole life on pills, by the time you're 30, what do you think going to happen? It's out of control, folks. It's a spiritual battle. And I have to just warn you, it's going to get worse. It really is. You're going to be in airports and hotels and restaurants. These things are going to happen. I'm concerned now, when I go to the supermarket, I'm looking around. Because you don't know when these people go nuts on you. Because the values are gone. That's why it's that way. You let God go. They took God out of the schools. They took him out of the government. You could barely mention him in your home. If you want hell from the children of Satan, mention God. Just mention him. And the sad thing about it, Christians are cowering down. They won't mention God. I have interviewed Christians on my radio show, and I say, are you a Christian? That's personal. But if I ask you gay, are you gay? Yes, and proud of it. Do you support same-sex marriage? Yes, what's wrong with that?
Now Christians are going in the closet.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't that something? Evil is putting good in the closet. I'm telling you, look, you better wake up. You really, evil is not a joke. You got to deal with evil with good, all right? So check yourself, folks, and wake up. I don't know what else to tell you. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved anywhere in the world by calling 800-411-2663, 800-411-BOND.